Hello and welcome to a special edition of Data Center News Asia. As you can see, it's me riding solo this week. Reese and I are spending next week up in Japan and Tokyo for the Digital Garden event, amongst other things. And Reese is being very selfish and has decided to go solo in advance of this. He's treating his wife to a couple of days over his birthday in Tokyo. And from what I could tell from Instagram, they are having a lovely time. So you're just going to have to put up with me as I mumbled my way and try not to make too much noise in the lounge before flying up. Um, Interesting couple of stories this week. So, first one I think to start with is the big one that's coming out of Singapore, where there was yet another fire in a facility. um, this is an interesting one because it kind of comes hot on the heels of a couple of the Singaporean uh, government bodies kind of issuing guidelines about safe practice. This is safe practice amongst other things in some of Singapore's data centers. So to have a fire so soon after that is slightly embarrassing. But the said fire happened at 750 Chai Chi. It's a relatively small facility. Couple of different conflicting reports I've seen on this, but it seems that it was caused by a server exploding. There was one person who kind of seemingly got injured. I think this was due to smoke inhalation, but I believe now that person is now thankfully out of hospital and hasn't suffered any sort of serious injuries. Um, Initially, it was being reported that this was coming out of the SG.GS facility. However, they've issued a pretty strongly worded statement on their website, which I read earlier, which was kind of basically saying it was not their facility. It was, while they do take capacity from the owners of the facility, it was not their either any of their data center infrastructure, servers, etc., or actually anything to do with them. And they've subsequently laid the blame on website media. But I think the good news is, like I said, no one injured, and um, everything seems to be coming together. The facility now, I think, is now back online, having had the power taken off for a period of time. Moving on to PDG, I think it's a good one to go with next. So PDG have announced some more good news. They're financing for their JC2 facility in Jakarta. So this is the 22 megawatt facility to the eastern part of Jakarta. They've transferred $105 million of the original loan, into green financing. Interesting. So the green loan coordinators, the Indonesian arm of DBS and the Indonesian arm UOB, were the ones behind this financing. And I think it just speaks to the efforts and the strides that PDG are making in the kind of sustainability or kind of energy efficiency space, that they're able to achieve this. Then this 105 million, along with the other couple of loans that they have across Singapore and Malaysia, brings up their green financing now to a total of 375 million, which I believe is USD. So yeah, congratulations to everyone involved. It's not easy, and it's just I know a lot of companies have previously spoken to me of the challenges involved in kind of getting these loans in the first case, or in this particular case, transferring these loans from traditional financing into green financing. So, like I said, congrats to everyone involved. Sticking on Indonesia, interesting. I'm not sure if calling it a story is the right word, but a lot of media outlets did pick this up. It was around Oracle potentially setting up infrastructure in Batam. Anyone familiar with this is going to kind of agree with me in the sense that not really much of a story. I'm not sure why it's kind of been come to light now, why it's been highlighted. All I will say is Batam, as anyone who saw from my LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, make tremendous strides. There are a number of facilities that are up and built. There is live capacity across a couple of different assets now, as well as a pretty big pipeline, and that pipeline is currently get built. So I don't think anyone needs to kind of question whether things are happening in Batam there anymore. They, without question, are. Neither Oracle or any of the operators comment on this. So, like I said, I think most people are already in the know of this, so not much more to add. But except I think Batam is now a very strong location for potential investments, 12 subsea cables and 4, I think now planned as well. I think there's a lot of things happening there, and I think we will see Batam in the news a lot more. Um, let's go to Japan now. Mitsui has completed the purchase of a what's been described as a hyperscale facility, 20 megawatt facility. Um, maybe by recent standards, 20 megawatt isn't really uh, people might describe as a hyperscale facility anymore. However, it is a facility in the Kanagawa prefecture. There is a hyperscale plant in this facility. Certainly if it's the one that I'm been assured it is, and which was my first pick for it being as well. 18 billion yen. Mitsui have invested this. They will have a 50% ownership through their Mitsui Co Realty arm, with the other 50% being unknown investor. Yeah, I think this again just shows their commitment to getting into the space. They've had a couple of deals in the last 2-3 years. And yeah, it's definitely an asset class they're keen to get more involved in. 18 billion yen for anyone who's not aware or not up to date with the exchange rates is about 120 million USD. So again, congratulations to everyone who was involved on both sides of that deal. Last story to cover is from a country which Reese and I don't cover that often, but it's still a pretty significant piece of news. So VNet, formerly 21 VNet, they're looking to raise $400 million through bond raise. Like I said, we don't often cover the Chinese data center market, but these guys are a big player. They've got 50 data centers across 30 different cities. Total pipeline or total supply, I should say, of about 500 megawatts, just shy. So again, a pretty significant player in China. Chinese market is one we don't get asked that much about. We don't claim to be the leaders in the Chinese data center market, but we are hearing quite a lot of positive things on the kind of the supply glut, or the excess supply, I should say, that was kind of widely reported for the last couple of years. I think is now easing. I think there is now increasing demand for new facilities all across China. So I think this is interesting development. One to keep an eye on, and maybe a sign that the Chinese market's going to start picking up again after a relatively quiet couple of years on the back of, I think most people would agree, over supply and over expansion a couple of years ago. That's all. That's all for the news this week. Relatively quiet week, certainly in comparison to the last couple of weeks where both Therese and I have been here to join. Next week, or tomorrow, I should say, filming on Sunday. Tomorrow, Reese and I will be at the Digital Garden event, where we will be kind of meeting with the Japanese ecosystem, talking to what looks like a lot of players from Japan, or certainly have for people who've got an interest in Japan. So it promises to be a really interesting 2 days. Reese and I've got a couple of interviews also lined up with a couple of different stakeholders from the event. So keep an eye out for them. We'll be posting them, or sorry, posting those stories as interview stories, etc. For the week after that. So keep after that. And yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, have a good day. Thanks everyone. Bye.